Hi, and welcome to Cooking with Kev. And I wanted to share with you one of my very favorite recipes. That is popovers. Now, if you don't know what popovers are, they're sort of like Pillsbury Doughboy on steroids. Huge, tall, webby, puffy muffins that you crackle and open up and put butter on. It's amazing. Okay, so we have some sifted all-purpose flour. I'm just using regular vitamin D milk. I'm keeping the eggs out at room temperature. That's one of the secrets of popovers. And one of my secret ingredients is using a little bit of baking powder, which it'll help it rise even more. Some salted grade AA butter. Now, some of the web legacies will tell you that unsalted also works, but I like this, and I also add a little bit of my own salt in here to help the rise. This is a lie. This is Hawaiian salt. Now let's talk about toppings. These are savory muffins. That means they're not sweet and they can be enjoyed with a myriad of spices. My favorite is a little Parmesan cheese, and up here from my garden, some fresh rosemary. Also as a garnish, we're going to make some honey lime butter. So I take some sweet creamery butter, some limes from the garden, some honey, and then I add just a little bit of nutmeg for some spice. Earlier I said that I leave my ingredients, the milk and the eggs, out at room temperature. But if you're in a hurry or you've left it in the fridge, there's a couple of tricks you can do. One of them is you can put the milk in the microwave for about a minute, minute and a half. Do the finger test on it till it's about bathtub warm, not hot. You don't want to scald anything. Next, with the eggs, what I've done is I've run some, again, very warm, not hot, water over top of the eggs, and when you do it a couple of times, and when the water stops turning cold and you can feel the egg about as warm as your skin, you're ready. Here's some of the equipment that you're going to need to make the popovers. There's some very standard things, of course, like a large mixing bowl and a wire whisk. Something that's a little specialty that I like is this unusual wire whisk that I got from Williams-Sonoma. It's got these little beads on the end, and it's great for breaking apart the egg yolks when you whip. Really fun. Also a specialty item is I've got these popover tins that are suspended by wire with these cups that are very vertically shaped. And that's really important to give enough support for the popover as it shoots up and rises. You could use just a giant muffin tin, but you can see by comparison just how narrow this is. The recipe calls to put a bit of butter in each tin, but again, I'm always on a diet, so I'm going to use Pam Original Cooking Spray. It's easier to use Pam. Next, we're going to preheat our oven to 400 degrees. It's really important that your oven be at temperature before you put the popovers in. You really want to shock them to heat and get them, again, that rising volume of air. Before it gets too hot, you're going to want to check the height of your shelves. Remember, these are popovers, and they're going to rise up about an inch to 2 inches above the height of these cones. So make sure that you've got adequate shelf clearance, and today we're using both shelves, so you'll want to make sure that the top of the upper layer of popovers doesn't get in front of your heating element. One of the great things about living in the tropics is you can grow your own spices outdoors. Rosemary is such an integral part about the smell and the aroma of these savory popovers. I like to cut my own fresh rosemary. So you take a couple of sprigs off of this plant, which has been severely used, can you tell? Looks like a little rosemary plump. And we'll go ahead and put this in the microwave for about 10 seconds, and then it'll be nice and ready for us to crumble it. It was actually about a minute and a half to get the rosemary to the point where you could just crumble it right off the stem. It's a lot less work this way, you guys. You just squeeze, squeeze, squeeze your way to rosemary happiness, and look, the sticks just fall right out. Then you've got this fresh rosemary here that makes an amazing topping. Just crunch a little bit with your fingers, and et voila, as Julia would say, you got rosemary. So first we're going to combine the wet ingredients together. We've got the dozen eggs and 5 cups milk. We're going to put them together in this pan. And I've got my wire whisk, so this is great. It's a little noisy, but you can see how these little balls take everything and scoosh it right on up. Add your room temperature lukewarm milk and make a beautiful slurry. Next, we want to add our dry ingredients. I've got a teaspoon of salt here, as well as 4 or 5 teaspoons of baking powder. This is my secret ingredient again, and you want to go ahead and mix the baking powder in with the ingredients beforehand so these chemicals mix in evenly with all this flour. Okay, so the next and possibly the hardest part is to fold slowly in your ingredients. So just pretend like you've got a little palsy going on and you're a little shaky here. And just fold the flour into the milk. Now, one mistake that I think some people could make here is trying to beat this batter too much. Because flour has gluten in it, wheat gluten, and the more you work it, just like with pizza dough, the chewier and the more tougher it becomes. That's why when you're making pancakes, you only stir them maybe 20, 25 times. So the secret here is to stir it just enough, but never too much. I added about a half a stick of butter inside here, already gushy and ready to go inside the recipe. Again, that's going to the oil is going to blend it together and make the final batter look nice and smooth. Next, we want to spray each one of these cups and make really sure that you get the sides. If you leave one, and I mean one space uncovered, it will stick, and you won't get them to pop, pop, pop out of the tin when you're done. Now we're going to go and fill the cups. Now, I'd like to say this is the easy part. It's really not, because you have to be very careful not to get any of this batter on the sides. You want to fill your cups a third to a halfway full, no more, because otherwise they'll pop all over your oven and it'll be a mess. Okay, now for the topping. I like to sprinkle fresh Parmesan cheese. Well, is it really ever fresh? Parmesan cheese aged 16 months on top of each one of these. And then sprinkle a little bit of rosemary just for color and flavor. You'll find that you almost couldn't put too much on top of each one. Hi, it's Zoidberg. How do you like these silicone mitts? They're really handy when you're doing this. So now they go into the oven. 400 degrees, boy. Oh, God. Dries the contacts right out of your eye. We slide the popovers into the oven, and once you get started, there's no opening the oven door. It's like a souffle. If you open the door before they're done, they fall. So in they go, and hopefully we're going to have popovers in about 45 minutes. The honey lime butter is really easy. You just keep your butter at room temperature, and I squeezed most of a part of a lime. These came from my backyard, and they're huge. So you put a little lime in there and add some honey to taste. I would say for a half stick of butter, you're going to do about 2 tablespoons worth, and just a dash of nutmeg to give it sort of that spicy, nutty taste, and stir away. Now the moment we've all been waiting for, about 45 minutes later, and they've been rising in the oven beautifully. So I'm going to go ahead and open the oven door for the first time. Be careful, steam definitely comes out when you open the door. And you see, oh, look at that. Some beautiful, beautiful popovers. And guess what? If you're lucky, you can pop, pop, pop them over, and they all come out into the pan. So this is it. These are little Parmesan popovers. We have some regulars. And oh wait, we have to see how the rosemary ones came out. Look at that there. Isn't that a thing of beauty? So if you'd like to learn specifically how to make popovers, I've got it on my website, cookingwithkev.com, where I've got the recipes for this and a lot more stuff. So thanks for watching. It's time to eat. I wish you were here. Aloha. You know, I titled this sequence Popovers for Oprah, and I wasn't really kidding. You know, she lives up near a place called Thompson's Ranch on Haleakala, and it's not too far from here, although there's no roads from where I live in Kihei up there, but I'm in hopes that maybe she'll come down someday and join me, and smells are everything. These are for you, Oprah. Hope you make it.